Major breaking news. Anthony Joshua will fight Jake Paul on December the 19th in Miami.
Jake Paul just stepped into a storm that Anthony Joshua has lived in for years. This matchup feels less like a fight and more like a test of how far confidence can carry a man. Every camera on the planet will be waiting to see who breaks first. If you're as hyped about this fight as we are, smash that like button, drop a comment with your prediction, and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on this massive showdown.
Jake Paul will face the two-time unified heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua on Friday, December the 19th in Miami, Florida.
The fight is officially confirmed for December 19th, 2025 at the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. For those of you in the UK, you'll be staying up late because this kicks off at 1 a.m. GMT on December 20th. And here's the kicker. It's streaming live on Netflix at no additional cost. That's right. If you've already got a Netflix subscription, you're good to go. No pay-per-view charges, nothing extra. Just tune in and watch what could be one of the most talked about fights in recent memory. Now, let's talk about money, because this is where things get absolutely insane. We're looking at a £140 million prize pot, split evenly between both fighters. That means Joshua and Paul are each walking away with roughly £70 million, win or lose. To put that in perspective, this is more than most world championship fights pay out. Eddie Hearn, Joshua's promoter and chairman of Matchroom Boxing, put it bluntly when he mentioned they could make £50 to £60 million for what he called a little run-out before the serious fights. When asked if they'd turn down this kind of money, Hearn was refreshingly honest, saying they ain't turning this down. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't some celebrity exhibition match. This is a professionally sanctioned heavyweight bout that will go on both fighters' official records. Hearn made that crystal clear when speaking to Sky Sports, stating, "No, not an exhibition. We're not interested in exhibitions. It's a real fight." He confirmed it would be fought under Queensberry rules with 10-ounce gloves. So anyone thinking this is just a glorified sparring session needs to think again. The fight is set for 8 rounds of 3 minutes each, which is shorter than a typical heavyweight championship bout, but still substantial enough for serious damage to be done. And speaking of damage, there's a weight limit that's raising eyebrows. Joshua cannot weigh more than 245 pounds. Now, this might sound generous, but consider that AJ has weighed over 250 pounds in each of his last 5 fights, typically coming in between 240 and 255 pounds. He was 252 pounds in his recent bouts. Meanwhile, Jake Paul weighed around 200 pounds for his last fight in June, though he did come in at 227.25 pounds for his heavyweight bout against Mike Tyson in 2024. We're talking about a massive size difference here. In fact, the British Boxing Board of Control's General Secretary has stated that this fight would not be sanctioned on British soil. That tells you everything about how unusual this matchup is. So, how did we get here? Well, Paul was originally scheduled to fight Gervonta Tank Davis on November 14th. That fight fell apart after a woman filed a civil lawsuit against Davis on October 30th, accusing him of battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. With that fight canceled, Paul's promotion company, Most Valuable Promotions, scrambled to find a new opponent before the end of 2025. Paul started calling out big names, including Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. And surprisingly, Joshua said yes. Nikisa Badarian, Paul's business partner, revealed that in under 2 weeks, MVP and Netflix made one of the biggest fights of all time. He acknowledged that Joshua has every advantage in this fight except one, the delusional confidence of Jake Paul. He added, "If anyone can shock the world, it's him." Let's look at what each fighter brings to the table. Anthony Joshua is 36 years old, stands 6'6" with an 82-inch reach, and has a record of 28 wins and 4 losses, with 25 of those wins coming by knockout. He's a former unified heavyweight world champion who shared the ring with the absolute best in the division. However, he's coming off a brutal knockout loss to Daniel Dubois in September 2024 and has been out of action for 15 months. Before that loss, he was on a 4-fight winning streak, including that devastating second-round knockout of Francis Ngannou. He lost his titles after back-to-back defeats to Oleg Susik in 2021 and 2022, but had been rebuilding toward another world title shot. Jake Paul, on the other hand, is 28 years old, stands 6'1" with a 76-inch reach, and has a record of 12 wins and 1 loss, with 7 of those knockouts. His only defeat came against Tommy Fury in 2023, and he's won 6 straight fights since then. His most recent victory was a unanimous decision over 39-year-old former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in June. He's fought former MMA fighters, journeyman boxers, and famously took on 58-year-old Mike Tyson. But this is completely different. Former boxer Tony Bellew didn't hold back when discussing this fight on Sky Sports. He said, "No, I can't imagine this fight happening," when asked directly. Bellew pointed out the absurdity of Paul going from fighting Gervonta Davis, who would have been 6 inches shorter and 5 stone lighter, to fighting Joshua, who's 4 to 5 inches taller and 100 pounds heavier. He stated matter-of-factly, if Anthony Joshua gets in a boxing ring with 10-ounce gloves on and Jake Paul is on the other side of the ring, this will last as long as Anthony Joshua wants it to last. The betting odds reflect this skepticism. Jake Paul opened as a plus 750 underdog, while Joshua is a massive minus 1400 favorite. To win by knockout, Paul is listed at plus 1000, while Joshua by knockout is the heavy favorite at minus 500. Joshua came out swinging with his statement, declaring, "Jake or anyone can get this work. No mercy. I took some time out and I'm coming back with a mega show." He continued, "Whether you like it or not, I'm here to do massive numbers, have big fights, and break every record while keeping cool, calm, and collected. Mark my words, you'll see a lot more fighters take these opportunities in the future. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face." Paul fired back with equal confidence, proclaiming, "This isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day, a professional heavyweight fight against an elite world champion in his prime. When I beat Anthony Joshua, every doubt disappears and no one can deny me the opportunity to fight for a world title." He added a message for British fans. "To the people of the United Kingdom, I am sorry. On Friday, December 19th, Under the Lights in Miami, live globally only on Netflix, the torch gets passed and Britain's Goliath gets put to sleep." Eddie Hearn summed it up perfectly with a warning. "They say be careful what you wish for. Kind of feel like that's all I need to say." 2 of the biggest names in the sport will collide on December 19th. Whilst I admire Jake's balls, he's going to find out the hard way in Miami. But Hearn revealed the bigger picture. This fight is just a detour. Plans are already cemented with Turki Al-Sheikh for 2026, including a big fight in February in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and potentially the long-awaited British super fight between Joshua and Tyson Fury in September 2026 in London. That fight would be one of the most anticipated British bouts in decades. So, this really is just a 70 million pound tune-up for Joshua before he gets back to serious heavyweight business. For Paul, this is his chance to prove he's not just a YouTube sensation turned boxer, but a legitimate threat in the heavyweight division. Millions will be watching on December 19th to see if Joshua demolishes Paul in devastating fashion or if we witness one of the biggest upsets in boxing history.